Okay, so let's take a look here in Katana how we can use the new Llama shaders. So I have here a basic scene. I have imported my object. My importomatic here is browsing for an alembic. And I have some render settings here set up. And my integrator is using path tracer. And I'm using my incremental rendering here using the globals. And here's my network material coming in here. So I created a network material, merged it in here into the stream. I'm assigning the material here, and I have a gaffer using a HDR here to render. So let's take my camera here and take a look. And it's actually already rendering here. So I set up here a basic Llama shader here. So let's dive into the network material create node here and take a look. The Llama system here in the network material is quite explanatory, self-explanatory. So we have here a Llama surface, and this one, as in the introduction to Renderman 24, is actually the container that will be hooked up to the materials. So if I go here and set this to that, well, let's see here, I need to go to my materials and set it to live here. So let's do my materials and take my teapot and set it to live. So yeah, you see here now, it's now just this container here. So if I pipe this back, it's gonna update, and we can see here. So what do we learn from this? Yeah, so the Llama surface here is the container, and on this one we set here, for example, how many material sides we're gonna have, 1 or 2. We can set the presence, the opacity, and all of this. This is kind of global settings that you set on to this stage here. And you also assign here the actual shader using this. And these are the nodes here. Well, like I have my Llama diffuse and my Llama conductor to add like a plastic together. So let's recreate this again here using this one, the new one here. I'm just gonna scoot this over here. And let's first say Llama diffuse, for example, and hook this up. This is the material. Let's take it material front. We can see here now we just have a diffuse shading going here. And now we want to have a specular, for example. So we can add a Llama conductor like so. So now we want to blend this. So let's take a Llama add. So Llama add, layer, and mix is the nodes we use to blend the different shaders together. So material 1, and I'm gonna hook this up to material front here, and take this one as material 2, and let's go in here now to my Llama add and pump up the weights here. So let's do that, and we can see here now I'm essentially blending a metallic and a diffuse together. So that doesn't really work. So that's because a conductor on its own doesn't have any diffuse like a metallic. So we have to, if I go this now, it's metallic. You can see here my conductor here is essentially set up as a metallic one. So let's remedy that and go into my conductor settings here. And we can choose here to use artistic or physical. So in my case, let's make a plastic out of this using the artistic mode and just set the reflectivity and edge color to something that's more like a plastic. So let's take that one. Let's take this one. This is the front facing. Plastic is generally not that front facing. So let's take it down. And let's take the edge color up, and let's make it neutral as well. So there's more like a plastic. And now if we take this output here to material front, we can see now we essentially back to essentially where I left this one off here. So yeah, let's take a look here what we can do, what else we can do here. So let's add something. Llama, let's take a llama layer and add this one here. Material base and material front, like so. And let's hook this up here again. Let's take llama conductor and let's make a metallic in the bottom. Let's do that, and this one on top. And we want to now use some other type of pattern, like a curvature or something, to drive here the edge wear on this guy. So there's different way to do it. We can try it with a Pixar curvature pattern. And let's take a look here at I want to visualize my curvature. So let's now just quickly make a Pixar constant. I'm gonna use this temporarily here and hook this up to my BXDF there and just hook the result into the emit color and take a look here. Let's zoom in here and start to tweak this one, the curvature here. Okay, max distance, let's pump this up to see something here. 0.9 maybe. And let's actually invert this as well. So I wanna XOR invert. Just gonna scoot this over and invert it. So I'm gonna take this, the input color, and let's take this one just to see here. Now it's inverted. And let's take my result R and pipe this into the mix there. And let's hook this up again here just to see here. Okay, we can see here now we have, if I zoom in here, we're gonna start to see here some kind of breakup here. You can actually click this one to see it here on the render view here as well. And we can now actually go in here and further tweak this. Let's make a Pixar Threshold and see if we can level this a bit as well. So I'm gonna take the input color here, result R to the mix, and let's see here. I'm gonna now actually override this again here just to visualize this. Okay, so there's some threshold going on, and let's pipe this back now here. Oops, that's the... We want to take this one. Yeah. Okay, so there we have something. You will probably want to bake this out to some kind of texture instead of using the trace pattern, because you will get some excessive sampling, I would think, when you use this curvature in like in your rendering. So yeah, I usually bake these curvatures out to a texture, so we can take a look at how we can use a texture instead of using this curvature and drive the breakup here and see how that goes. XOR texture, name this curvature in, and browse to a location. Okay, so I browse here for my texture. So it's pre-converted to TEX. So what I have to do here is the 1001, because it has UDIMs. I'm just gonna change this to _map ID with capitals, and the Atlas style here is Mori. Let's hook this up here to my constant just to check this. So emit color there, and let's go to my gaffer here and just take a live render here. So there we go. So that's my baked curvature. I'm gonna use that to drive the breakup. So let's now go here and actually hook this up to my threshold, and let's pipe this here into this one as well. So there's my threshold. So let's now tweak this. I want to have something. So the dark here is going to be essentially where we're going to see this underlying material, and this is the width of that effect there, I guess. Okay, and we can see here, let's take this one and just pipe it in here to my to the mix here. I'm gonna hook this up here to my material, and this one to my BXDF here. And there we have it. We can see here now it's using this baked curvature instead of the traced curvature that I utilized earlier. So it's going to be less computing for the tracing there. It's going to use the texture instead of the curvature that will use ray tracing, and potentially bring some noise in the equation as well if you do this live. So yeah, let's take this a step further and take a look here at using some textures that I have exported from Mari into Llama, and see how we can use, let's say that we have like a complete material, and what do we do with that. So let's take a look at that next. Okay, so here in Mari, let's take a look here. So what I've currently, we don't have a Llama equivalent in Mari, so I'm using the Pixar Surface still. This Pixar Surface shader is still here to drive the actual shader here. But yeah, essentially this metallic here is using physical shading, physical specular, and that is the same values that we have in the Llama. So you can use artistic and physical still here in the Pixar Surface. So I'm kind of thinking that they will match pretty well still. And I'm driving here my shaders here using this this rust here material that I created. And essentially here I can just say here how much rust I want to have, and metal and all of that. And I'm exporting out diffuse, specular edge color, specular IR, specular extinction coefficient, roughness, and bump, and hooking that up in using my Llama. So instead of using an UV shader, I have to combine diffuse and specular as we did before, but now using texture. So let's jump back into Katana and look at the textures. So I'm gonna export this texture here, diffuse color. Let's take a look at the values. So this one is gonna be for the diffuse. Edge color is gonna look like that. IR, that's index of refraction values for the physical spec, and this is values above 1, so it's float values. The same goes with extinction coefficient, except where I have rust, for example. You can see the rust doesn't have here the metallic properties, so we don't have values where we have the rust. And specular roughness, well, it's gonna look like so. And let's say the bump, let's take a look at this one. I'm using that one as well. So yeah, let's zoom in here, some bump values. So now I'm gonna build, recreate this in Llama, but using the Pixar Surface here in Mari as of yet. In this version of Renderman 24, they don't have a preview surface for Mari. So I'm kind of building my own network from the Pixar Surface. So let's jump over now into Katana again and hook these textures up and see here if you can get something that kind of looks similar. Okay, so I hooked up my texture here to my little script here. So let's dissect here what I did. And it's very similar here to what we did with the previous example, except now I added textures. So the diffuse color that we looked at in Mari goes in here to my Llama diffuse color. And here, instead of having this edge color, I hooked up my specular edge color from the Pixar Surface in Mari to the tint. That's kind of if I look here at the shader itself, it's kind of the equivalent to what the edge color was in the Pixar surface. Let's take a look here. What else we have? The IOR is explanatory. It goes into IOR extinction, and the roughness slots here into the same normal inputs here. So the tint was in Pixar surface called specular edge color, and then they kind of seem to render very similar there when it comes to that. And these two here, the diffuse and the conductor llama, is added together here using a llama add node to build this diffuse and specular material using the physical spec values. And I'm also using here my bump map, using going in here into a Pixar bump texture, and yeah, it's essentially going here to the normal of the specular and the normal input of my diffuse here, and that gives me the appearance of this bump here. Let's go in here actually and tweak the bump a bit here and set the scale to 0 and see here what happens. Now we don't have any bump. We can also hit the disable here if we want to. Yeah, so there we have the bump going. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to add some other materials here on this guy. So let's make like a skin shader or something. So I'm gonna make another network material create container and house like shaders and stuff for this character here in that one, and it's gonna be more hard surface and these teapot materials in this one. So let's create a network material create and just route this in here into my merge there, and we can create like another name here, char materials. Okay, so let's name this network material. I don't want to have the name network material, so I want to have a skin, for example. Let's assign this material. I just need here to go here to my material and material assign. I'm just gonna take another material assign here and assign this material. Let's see here onto, I'm gonna use this one, the skin, and let's drag this one into the location there and take my skin there and drag that into the material assign. And we should now, if I render it's gonna be black, I guess. So let's just try and see if that happens, because we haven't hooked up anything inside the material container. But if everything is as I expect, we should have something here. Or now it's gonna be just gray shader, I guess. Let's go here. I guess it has a default shader when you don't have anything. Let's go in here and apply a some kind of a llama shader, llama surface. Okay, so here we have a golden girl, and that's not what we want. So now we're gonna use some subsurface on this guy and see what we can get. So let's go back here. Okay, I'm gonna take away, well, we can save the conductor because I need it later on. We're gonna have some specular. But now let's say llama subsurface, llama SSS, and hook this up to material front. And let's see here, I might, yeah, I want to have subsurface. And yeah, so let's start with that. And let's take here, go to my settings here and take some color, skin color. And let's take some radius color here as well. And I'm gonna make in like another light here just to tweak my subsurface temporarily here. So let's go back here to my gaffer and make add pyramid light. I want to have a rec light, And I'm gonna solo this light, and let's go into my light groups here. And okay, and now I'm just gonna find my light here. I guess it's down here. There we go. I'm just gonna place this. Okay, something behind here. I'm just gonna place it now, like so, and go here to my exposure, and let's take something like 10 or something and see here what happens. It might be a bit too much, but we'll see here. Just gonna have pretty normal exposure there and see here what happens with my subsurface here. Okay, I'm gonna now start to tweak a bit of the radius here on my subsurface, so we can see here how far we push this through the object here. Okay, so I guess we have to start to mess with the scale and the settings here. Let's see here. So unit length is usually something we can play with depending on. I'm not really sure about the size. Just gonna see here. Let's see here. Path race exponential. Let's see here. That's now it looks like a jelly bean. Let's 0.1 maybe, and set the scale to 10. Not going for realism here because it's not so realistic, this character, so just want something pretty exaggerated here. And let's take this down a bit. Okay, let's try that. I'm just gonna go back to my gaffer here and take away this guy, and I'm gonna mute the direct light. Okay, so there we have like a subsurfacey shader, but I want to have some specular here on top, so I'm gonna go back here to my SSS here and add my specular on top. So I'm gonna make a Llama add for that. So I'm gonna add my subsurface and my specular together there. And let's take this guy into the material, and let's take this guy into the material too, and go to weight. And now it's gonna go look like gold. We don't want that, because this is if I take this one on its own, it's gonna be gold. So we can tweak this specular on its own here. It's gonna make something like a skin. Actually, let's go and take scientific and go to IR 1.33 and so that's kind of water and extinction coefficient. We take this away to 0. And let's tweak the roughness a bit. Can render here. Let's mess with the tail here. I'm gonna mess with the tail mix. Just gonna add a bit of tail. Okay, let's do that and hook this up to the material. So now we have the subsurface and some specular. Let's take this one on its own and we can compare. Now it goes flat. And now we have some specular there as well to give it some shiny areas. Okay, so let's do something for like the hair and the cloth and some other materials for those as well. And maybe, yeah, teeth and gums. So we can essentially, I guess we can assign the same shader to these two as well. So let's do that. We can take that material and drag these into, and I might have to Not sure if I have the live for material assignments. So let's see. Okay, there we go. So I need to make like a tooth shader and for these guys here as well. So let's go back to the material characters materials and make another material here. Add network material, and I want to have teeth and jump into this guy. So we can utilize the same specular if we want at the moment. So we can see here now we have the output, the skin, and underneath here we have a new input here, the where I have teeth. So we can take a llama surface and say llama diffuse, and I'm just gonna make a white shader here to make the teeth. Material front, and take this one into this guy, and let's go back and assign a material assign to these assets as well, or these locations. Can do it here. Yes, need these. Gonna drag this into my material assign and take my teeth material to the sign there, and let's do live again. Okay, there we have it. Now let's go in here and tweak it. So let's make this, I have to make it live there as well, like so. And now I want to tweak the shading here. So the diffuse there, I'm gonna go here and make it whitish. So could have subsurface, or I will probably change that later, but let's make something quick and easy here, and have a llama add material 1, and let's reuse this conductor here as my specular. Just need to here and go and mix it in, and now we should have some spec on that surface there as well. Let's hook up another material for the dress, and I want to have a material design for that. Okay, let's see here. I need this, that, these two surfaces, and my material design is gonna be my dress. And let's see here. I'm gonna now go in here and make the same. Just make a diffuse with a color, some velvet maybe. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so we have it down here, my dress. Llama surface again here, just gonna hook it up, and let's restart my live here. Llama diffuse, and I'm gonna have llama sheen as well. Start with that and set a general color. Let's optimize this to say 1. No, I can have it 2 surfaces. I'm not sure if it's single-sided geo, this one, so let's take that one, and diffuse here. Just take a color. Let's take some kind of purplish color, and let's take a llama sheen to try another. I'm gonna tweak this on its own first, so I can see here what's let's go in here and see here what we have. The roughness. That was the wrong one. And I'm gonna tint it slightly just to make something. Just playing here now, and let's take a llama. Let's take a llama layer and see what happens. So there is without the sheen, and now I'm mixing in the sheen here just to try it. And let's see here. I'm just gonna go here and play with the roughness a bit here. Okay, so there's a bit of a velvety, clothy material there. Do something else here. Let's make like these surfaces here some kind of maybe golden necklace and stuff. So let's make another material, gold necklace, gold, and I guess we can just make a llama conductor because that one is almost the material I want. And so let's go here to my gold llama surface and a llama conductor. Material design again. I can group this together soon here. Okay, so I want to have this, and I know there's something in the hair as well. Okay, let's take these and drag those into my, and go to my material design here, gold, and drag this one. Okay, let's do a, okay, there we go. So yeah, I guess we need to do something about the hair. Here she has a bit of a metallic hair at the moment, so let's do something about that as well. Hair. Okay, let's assign. Let's be brave and just use the and see what happens when I use the llama hair shader. I don't think it's gonna look cool on this geo, but let's just see. Llama hair chang. Let's see here. It's gonna look funky, I believe. It's probably not meant for this, but let's take a look. Gonna do a live here as well. It's gonna enable that one. Let's go in here and mess with this one just to get something funky going. Llama surface, and I guess opacity, and I'm not sure if interior effects is needed. Let's tick all of them just because it's hair and problematic. Material front, and let's take back as well. Okay, let's go in here and see if I can tweak something here, make it some kind of, see here what happens. I'm not expecting this to be any good, to be honest, but because yeah, it's not like hair geometry that you get from a hair, but yeah. On a distance. Okay, so yeah, that's a bit here. So let's go back here and add some breakup and stuff onto the different geometries here as well. So let's do that now. Okay, so I decided here to make like a car paint shader here. So this is a speed up here. And what I did is to create a diffuse and a metallic, and then I'm layering like a glass and using absorption to make like a varnish. So this is what I'm setting up here, and I'm just playing here a bit with the glass shader and the absorption and finding the right values. And then I'm layering this using this llama layer, and I'm using the thickness slider. So yeah, we will go through this more in depth here after this recap here. But yeah, we're seeing here I'm tweaking the colors and then hooking this up here to the main layers in the end here. And yeah, let's look at it now. Okay, so here we can see the result. I'm inside here of my network material node, and let's take a look here. I'm gonna go full screen here so we can see here what I did. So I added here a diffuse, and this one, and the conductor is making this metallic material. So let's take a look at that, what I did there. I'm just gonna hook this up here to a new llama surface. I'm just gonna look at this on its own here, like so, material, and take this one. So yeah, I have a diffuse and a very broad metallic, so I get this almost like aluminium, you know, super brushed metal in the end here underneath. And then I took this dielectric. This is a glass that if I hook this up on its own, we can see here, let's see, I need to have my presence or opacity needs to be enabled here. And we can see here, it's like a glass, very dark here, but I'm layering this using this Llama layer, and this one has a slider here for essentially for like interior effects, and interior effects is for example, if I look at the glass, if I go here to my interior, we have interior, and that's kind of absorption and these type of effects. And the Llama layer then has a thickness slider here. So if I will go here and decrease the thickness here to 0.2, for example, you see we see less of this, and the higher the thickness, the darker this effect will be. So it's a bit like if I would take this to 10 now, it's going to be super dark here. And so now we start to see, if I zoom in here, we get like this very deep absorption. So this is a balance depending on the glass thickness and the thickness of this top thickness. You're gonna get different effects, but this gives kind of this like this car paint type of effect. Let's set this back to 1. And then I just took my previous, let's see here, I layered in this breakup that I get from the curvature that we looked at earlier. And let's take, and yeah, I have the base rusty look here. If I go up here again, the rusty look, and then I added this varnish on top, and I'm using this breakup that we looked at with the curvature in the end there. So that's kind of what I did. I'm just gonna go back and hook this up again, and that gives this look. So now we have where the curvature is, we have this rusty, and then we have this car paint type of effect where it's not scuffed, so to speak. Yeah, so that's kind of a bit how I used this effect here onto this asset.